10 years ago on November 6th, 2015, Call of Duty Black Ops 3 released. Celebrating its 10th anniversary, let's rewind the clock back to 2015 and relive the masterpiece that is Black Ops 3 10 years later. Following the monumental success of Call of Duty Black Ops 2 in 2012, Treyarch were heads down working on the next masterpiece. On April 9th, 2015, the world was introduced to the first teaser for Black Ops 3, a trailer which was first shared by content creators with the title #BackInBlack. The teaser itself contained thousands of words, sprawled along different shapes as the camera span around in different angles, revealing coordinates, messages, and finally forming the silhouette of the Black Ops 3 soldier. The trailer then ended to show one Black Ops numeral, followed by 2, and then finally to reveal 3. The teaser trailer ended with a world reveal date of Sunday, the 26th of April. However, Activision and Treyarch were not done, because on the 23rd of April, they released the Ember teaser trailer, expanding the narrative and world of Black Ops 3 through a multitude of stock footage and real-life footage depicting what the world would look like 50 years from present day. Under the premise of in the next 50 years, technological advancements will lead us into a world where those only who risk going too far will find out how far we can actually go. Within it, we got to see glimpses of organ replacements, retinal implants, neural control, and voluntary limb replacements, with the idea that humans are being weaponized. Not only was this visually an incredibly impressive trailer, but it was also a very clever way to market the game and set up the world's narrative. But on April 26th, Treyarch revealed the first look at Black Ops 3 to the world. The trailer was immediately iconic, set to the soundtrack of Paint It Black by the Rolling Stones. We got to see our first glimpses into a gritty, futuristic world set in 2065, showcasing a ton of moments from the Black Ops 3 campaign, as well as showcasing some of the new technological advancements in movement, such as wall running and underwater swimming that was actual multiplayer gameplay. And if things weren't exciting enough, the trailer ended with the smallest tease of the first look at Black Ops 3 Zombies. Black Ops fans had waited nearly 3 years to see the next Black Ops game, and it's fair to say that everyone was hyped. And as a personal milestone in my content creation journey, I was flown out by Activision for the first time ever to visit the Treyarch studios and see and play Black Ops 3 to help cover the official reveal, which blew my mind. Fast forward to June 16th, 2015, and Black Ops 3 multiplayer was revealed at E3. Despite the near impossible bar that Black Ops 2 multiplayer set, Black Ops 3 multiplayer revealed to wide critical acclaim. The trailer instantly showcased the new movement system, allowing you to fluidly chain movement together while playing in maps that were designed from the ground up to push strong head-to-head action. No longer were you playing as random soldiers, as you got to choose to play as one of 9 new specialists, each with their own personality, looks, abilities that directly affected gameplay. But everything changed on July 9th when Treyarch finally revealed the next iteration of Zombies with Black Ops 3's Shadows of Evil. This was an all-new, mind-bending tale of the undead, starring Jeff Goldblum, Heather Graham, Neil McDonough, and Ron Perlman in an adventurously new survival co-op experience set in the 1940s, where 4 unwitting characters are brought together under mysterious circumstances. The trailer was an absolute masterpiece, combining beautiful jazz music with a multitude of new gameplay features such as Gobblegum turning into a tentacle monster, 3-headed monsters, parasites, and humans being sacrificed. This could not have been any more different to what players were expecting, coming off the heels of the incredibly successful Origins map in Black Ops 2. Whilst we now look at this as one of the greatest zombies maps ever made, the reception following this trailer was largely mixed. A lot of people were confused and upset that the old crew wasn't in this. People did not like the look of the huge monster, and fans were weirdly comparing this to the Ghost Extinction mode, and there was definitely a knee-jerk reaction when the Gobblegum machine was shown for the first time. People were genuinely really upset by this, and the only thing that seemed to be the redeeming factor for this Zombies mode is that this wasn't the only Zombies map available on launch, as both Shadows of Evil and The Giant were announced on the same day. with the Black Ops 3 Zombies reveal happening at San Diego Comic-Con, where Treyarch held a panel with the celebrity cast revealing the Shadows of Evil reveal trailer for the first time, as well as debuting an exclusive look at the intro cutscene for the Giant. Inevitably, this was recorded by members of the audience and was officially released by Treyarch and Activision a few days later. This intro cutscene blew everyone's minds. Seeing the original World at War Richtofen being shot in the head by the Origins version of Richtofen was a mind-blowing moment, and whilst we look at this back now with so much fondness, at the time this was a jaw-dropping intro cutscene for the community. The level of quality and polish this cutscene had was a real testament that Treyarch had raised the bar yet again, and was one of the greatest ways to get the community excited without even showing a single second of the map itself. During this whole reveal period, Treyarch and Activision were marketing Call of Duty Zombies in a way that had never been seen before. Not only did San Diego Comic-Con have its own panel, but there was a full Call of Duty Black Ops 3 Zombies experience, which included an escape room challenge. Treyarch and Activision created their own version of an escape room based on the Shadows of Evil map locations and characters, including full-on zombie actors and actresses, inspired by two of the main characters from the map, the Magician and the Femme Fatale. What I would give to have attended something like this. Fast forward to the end of August, and the public finally got their first hands-on with Black Ops 3 with the multiplayer beta, which was the first time that Call of Duty had a public multiplayer beta since 2008's Call of Duty World at War. The hype continued to build more and more until the launch of Black Ops 3, with Activision even going so far as to completely re-theme a roller coaster ride at Six Flags into a Shadows of Evil experience. And you imagine seeing zombies marketing like this nowadays. We also got the look at the Shadows of Evil intro cutscene, as well as a gameplay trailer for the Giant Zombies map. During all of this, another content career highlight was that Activision sent me out to New York City to attend the Season 6 premiere of The Walking Dead, as the season was being officially sponsored by Black Ops 3 Zombies. To this day, I still can't believe that opportunity happened, and I got to meet so many of the most iconic actors and actresses from that show. And ultimately, it's insane to see how big Zombies was at this point for it to be sponsoring shows as prestigious as The Walking Dead. Rolling into November, and on the 6th of November 2015, Call of Duty Black Ops 3 was officially released to the world. If you couldn't tell by now, this video is going to be heavily focused on the zombies portion of Black Ops 3, but at the end of the video, we'll also touch on the multiplayer and campaign. But let's kick things off by talking about zombies, because leading up to the release of the game, there was definitely initial criticism on the direction that Treyarch were taking zombies. And that didn't stop once the game was in players' hands, where initially there was a very mixed, if not critical, reaction to the complexities of the launch map Shadows of Evil. From a visual and design perspective, it was an absolute masterpiece. But for some of the player base, the initial reaction on launch was that the zombies mode was less accessible, with the map being a lot more complex than what players initially expected. To some of the community, they embraced the new map and the mechanics, with it feeling like a real breath of fresh air. But initial reaction from the casual player base was that there were early frustrations, such as the difficulty spike with regards to the behavior of zombies in the game, confusing new systems such as the beast mode, which is how players powered up doors, perks, and rituals, gobblegums, and wall running. And at this point, there hadn't been a map with as complicated of a pack-a-punch process as Shadows of Evil. But boy, was it, and still is, an absolute spectacle to behold. Collecting the ritual items belonging to each of the 4 main playable characters to then use that item to then commit a sin in order to earn a gate worm to open the pack-a-punch. To this day, it's still one of the strangest things we've seen in zombies, but it definitely no longer feels out of place or weird. With this map being the spiritual successor to the Black Ops 2 Zombies map Mob of the Dead, there were connections that amazed fans, such as the Mob of the Dead plane flying over in the sky after activating pack-a-punch, several of the mobsters' names being part of different establishments throughout Morgue City, posters found in the theater district that matched the poster hidden on a wall in a cell from Mob of the Dead. It was absolutely amazing. But the map just continued to amaze the more exploration was done, as people discovered one of the greatest wonder weapons to have ever existed, which is the Apothicon Servant, a weapon built from 3 different parts that creates a tentacle monster gun that shoots black holes. Only the most OG will remember that there was actually a glitch to pack-a-punch this where it became an even stronger version with a lot more ammo. This was patched pretty quickly by Treyarch and led the community to hunt for several months on the potential of an actual official upgrade within the map. As the Easter egg hunt progressed from launch, more things were discovered, such as a Apothicon sword and an upgraded sword, which was the first time ever that we'd see a support weapon added in zombies available like this. In total, it took the community a solid week to finally complete the Shadows of Evil Easter egg, as the final step requires you to be in a 4-player only game. When the ending cutscene was discovered for the first time, it blew everyone's minds. A map that seemed to be in its own complete bubble, completely unrelated to anything else, suddenly had Richtofen appear, snatching the summoning key from the Keeper's hands and then disappearing moments later. It is hard not to be amazed and wowed by this map's lore. From several radios and telephones that build up this idea of this being a once living and breathing world that now has a underworld, backgrounds of the 4 characters, introduction of otherworldly objects like the summoning key, the Magwas, the Keepers. It was so original and so different to anything that we'd seen before. Once players got used to it, that initial criticism changed from being mixed to being overwhelmingly positive. That wasn't the only zombies map people got to enjoy at launch, because there was also the Giant, a faithful remake of the World at War classic map Der Riese brought to the modern era. It was definitely a nice change of pace from what Shadows of Evil and its complexity offered. Much more simpler zombies map, which was more accessible to the casual player, and whilst it was praised for its clean flow and replayable high round gameplay, the maps were definitely not equivalent, as the Giant lacked a full Easter egg quest in the same vein as Shadows of Evil. It still offered the hardcore zombies fans plenty of nostalgia and story hooks to enjoy. There was definitely a trade-off in the amount of depth this map offered in comparison. And whilst it's hard to believe now, there was some frustrations with this map at launch, with the first being that there was a paywall behind it. In order to access this map, you needed the Season Pass or the hardened or digital deluxe version of the game. And coming hot off the press from the ending of Origins, this map having those characters and that story continue felt frustrating to certain players, because it was behind a paywall, and when they finally got to experience it, it did not have as much depth to carry and explain the next parts of the story through the map's gameplay. The community would hunt for several months after the launch to see if there actually was a main Easter egg quest. But the overall consensus was players really enjoyed the gameplay experience that the Giant offered, with all those classic elements of the teleporters, the Wonderwaffe DG2, and the new modern look of Der Riese, just adding to that comfort feeling that many zombies fans had, where they wanted to take a break from such a complex map like Shadows of Evil to jump into something else. Following the launch and the reception of both of the maps and the fundamental systems of Black Ops 3 Zombies on launch, Treyarch released several patches to address the early round difficulty, the aggressive zombies AI, and the technical and performance problems with the game, dropping a major patch update in December that allowed players to spend real money in Dr. Monty's factory to try and earn the rarest versions of the game's gobblegums. This was an incredibly innovative new system that allowed players to use special unlockable consumable items that will give you a specific bonus, ability, or effects similar to the persistent upgrades in Black Ops 2 Zombies. Gobblegums have now become a timeless part of the Zombies gameplay systems, but when they were first introduced in Black Ops 3, there was definitely a divided response. The system was refreshing and kept the experience feeling brand new, but a common complaint was with the more powerful Gobblegums, it undermined the challenge in Zombies and ruined that progression that older Zombies modes emphasized. Some viewing that Gobblegums distracted from what made Zombies fun and iconic. With this update allowing you to buy them with real money, it definitely skewed this conversation even more. I definitely think as time went on and more Gobblegums were added, the conversation and stigma around them calmed down as the community accepted and got used to this new benefit and balance in Zombies, but it was definitely a strange experience at first, being able to give yourself all the perks in the map at once. It wasn't long before there was already news about the first Zombies DLC map, where on the 6th of December, during the PlayStation Experience in San Francisco, PlayStation revealed details of the first DLC map pack for Black Ops 3. This gave us our first glimpse of the next chapter for Zombies, known as Der Eisendrache. All we had was this one image, but it didn't stop from massive speculation, seeing what looked to be a castle as well as rockets. Lead up to this map's release was palpable, with the community solving a cipher within the giant referencing a castle facility in Austria. Leading up to the map's release, we got a full Eisendrache trailer where we got to see the return of the Panzer from Origins, dragons awaking from walls, and a rocket facility. The community consensus was overwhelmingly positive and relieved to finally have a zombies map that looked more classic and straightforward after the chaos of Shadows of Evil. There was also a lot of praise for its visual tone with the snowy alpine aesthetic and the blue lighting palette reminding people of Origins. The map released on February 2nd, 2016, and the hype for the map was truly next level. The castle setting immediately clicked with fans, described as having the perfect balance of openness and structure. Following the many years since the release of Black Ops 2's Origins, the zombies community were yearning to see the return of 4 elemental wonder weapons. And Treyarch actually delivered on this with the Wrath of the Ancients and its 4 elemental upgrades being the Storm, Wolf, Void, and Fire bows. These were the spiritual successors to the Origin staffs, and each bow had visual flair and personality, with each having their own intricate mini Easter egg quest in order to solve and obtain. The map was a lot simpler to Shadows of Evil. It had a traditional power switch. Parasite rounds were replaced with traditional Hellhounds. But despite the map being far less complex in Shadows of Evil, it still had just as much depth from a gameplay and storyline standpoint. In total, it took the community just shy of 48 hours to complete the Eisendrache Easter egg, leaning into some of the more complex Easter egg quest design that we saw in Shadows of Evil. There were some truly breathtaking steps, however, such as time traveling to a secret room which extended the narrative lore of the Easter egg quest itself, Dempsey's cryopod crashing back down into the courtyard along with the golden rod, and the return of the MPD from the moon fueled zombies fans into a frenzy. But it was the final step in the Easter egg that truly wowed the community with the first ever Treyarch Zombies boss fight. This was the Keeper boss fight, stunning players in a fully realized arena with multiple phases, an entire team wipe attack, and the Easter egg's conclusion with one of the most emotional Easter egg cinematics the community had ever seen, being a several minute long ending cutscene within the game's engine with a level of emotional depth that the Zombies fans had never experienced before, making these characters feel like genuine, real humans that we emphasize and feel for as we've been on this journey with them for so long. Consensus was this was the best Easter egg quest that Treyarch had ever done. Emotional, fun, and actually attainable. Eisendrache seemed to be the map that ticked every single box. Gameplay felt smooth, fast, and classic zombies. The map design incorporated the best of open areas and tight corridors. The bows were the most fun wonder weapons ever. It had the perfect balance of a difficult Easter egg, but felt extremely rewarding to complete. Narrative lore within the map finally progressed the premise storyline forwards. It felt like a map that could be endlessly replayed. Treyarch had their work cut out in trying to follow up the reception with Eisendrache, and 2 months later, on April 19th, 2016, Treyarch dropped the second DLC for Black Ops 3, Zetsubo no Shima. Prior to the launch, the hype was enormous, with the map trailer teasing a dark Pacific Island lab with spider enemies and the continuation of the premise storyline with Takio's chapter. Many expected a Eisendrache tier experience, and for the most part, the map did deliver on this. However, launch of the map was definitely on the rough side. From a map system standpoint, the map was a lot more complicated than Eisendrache, especially when it came to turning on the power. Was a multi-step power activation which confused many first-time players. On top of that, many of the other features of the map, such as Pack-a-Punch, the shield, and obtaining the map's wonder weapon required long side quests. A unique element of the map was instead of digging up items, you actually had to plant items, then repeatedly water them over subsequent rounds with different colored water for different items. And this yielded different power-ups, weapons, or traps. Not only was there a new wonder weapon, but there was also a new specialist weapon, the Skull of Nansupway, which was praised for its utility, being able to freeze zombies in place, as well as use it to infinitely kill zombies. And the new spider mini-bosses were seen as fun and less annoying bosses to take down than Hellhounds or Margwas. From a visual standpoint, the map impressed players immediately, with dynamic weather, thunder, and darkness creating a sense of immersion and tension that at any moment something could go wrong. There were tons of spider webs, vines, vines and rain, which gave it a more gritty horror tone. The new Thrasher mini-bosses made for a great change to the gameplay, being something which could happen naturally through elements of the map environment affecting nearby zombies. Map's wonder weapon, the KT-4, was also very well received, but did seem to be a little bit similar seen in Die Rise from Black Ops 2. The map's Easter egg quest took only 24 hours to complete, with a much more simpler quest than Horizon. Although the overall community consensus that whilst the Easter egg was easier, a lot of the steps were just very tedious. Plant results were random, getting certain quests was luck dependent, and overall a lot of RNG was required in order to successfully complete this Easter egg without it taking you all day long. Eisendrache set a very high bar, and unfortunately Zetsubou no Shima's Easter egg did not deliver on those same levels. There were definitely some cool moments, however, the boss fight itself did not even begin to shine a light of how complex and impressive Horizons was. There frankly wasn't even an actual boss to fight in this map. It was instead a survival where at points you would shoot a section of the enthralled version of Takeo in order to complete phases and get to that eventual ending. However, that ending cutscene for Zetsubou no Shima truly hit hard. There was unanimous praise for the story and character focus on this map, where just like Horizons, this cutscene drew real emotion, with us actually getting to learn more about Takeo from a raw and vulnerable viewpoint. Premise Takeo Masaki confronts his Ultimus version imprisoned and broken by the Division 9 experiments, making Premise Takeo for an honorable death. This moment felt tragic yet fitting for Takeo's character. For the first time ever in Zombies, it felt like a real human moment and showed just how strong Treyarch's storytelling had evolved. From a visual and story standpoint, this map delivered tremendously, but from a gameplay point of view, not only was the more complex map design and gameplay systems something that turned players off, the map was also littered with technical issues and bugs, which definitely hurt that initial impression of the map. Reflecting back though, to this day, players will still say that Zetsubou no Shima is the weakest map in Black Ops 3 Zombies. After Zetsubou no Shima's bugs and complexity, fans begged Treyarch for a map that was fun, stable, and straightforward. And the wait felt excruciating, as it was a 3-month wait until Treyarch finally delivered on DLC 3 Gorod Krovi. And the reception to this map was electric. Gorod Krovi was a war-torn Stalingrad full of mechs, dragons, and chaos. Angled at being Nikolai's map, this map was worth the wait and delivered on everything that players had wanted from Zetsubou. There was so much innovation here on this map, such as being able to ride dragons. To this day, I am still wowed when I ride the dragon and have that cinematic experience, which is all happening in the game's engine in real time. In comparison to Zetsubou no Shima, the map was huge, but the layout had the perfect balance between being big, but being easy to access, with power being a simple power switch and Pack-a-Punch being available through a fairly easy process that would happen naturally in-game anyway. This map also brought us a brand new ray gun for the first time since Black Ops 2's Buried. This wasn't just any old ray gun, it was a dual-wielding ray gun, with the left shooting yellow clouds of energy that slow down zombies, the right weapon dealing the standard ray gun projectile. But then if you shot the left weapon and then the right, it would create a black hole, making this such a versatile and fun wonder weapon to use. And based on community feedback, wasn't tied behind a quest, it was accessible simply from the mystery box. There were other really unique map features, such as the Gauntlet of Siegfried specialist weapon, which was a mini dragon that you could unlock as a completely optional gameplay upgrade, building again off the Skull of Narn subway from Zetsubou no Shima. There was a beautiful makeover for the zombie shield, as well as a dragon strike streak weapon to obtain, and the map just felt extremely unique. Instead of hellhounds or spiders, we had Valkyrie drones as the mid-round bosses. In the higher rounds, we got a brand new enemy type being Mangala soldiers, which we have seen Treyarch reuse over and over again even till this day. This map was far from a walk in the park when it came to discovering its Easter egg quest. There was a multitude of complex Easter egg steps and puzzles, but somehow the full quest was solved within 48 hours. Getting to the boss fight was more than worth it, because not only did we have a boss fight, but there was actually 2 boss fights. first against a giant dragon and then against Nikolai in a massive mech suit. Scale and absurdity of this was so exciting for the community to experience. It also offered genuine challenge as well, with many at the time praising this as one of the best boss fights in Zombies history. And the ending did not disappoint either, with the ending cutscene giving us Nikolai's final moments, facing his corrupted self and having to make the ultimate sacrifice. Sacrifice combined with loyalty, guilt, and redemption transformed this once joke of a character into a complex and emotional character, revealing his inner demons to another version of himself. Despite the incredibly high bar that Treyarch had given themselves, they were still able to satisfyingly pay off this narrative in a fantastic yet emotional way, with it finalizing the foundations for the finale of the Black Ops 3 Zombies narrative. It's difficult to say nearly 10 years on from this map's launch where it sits, as the Eisendrache and Shadows of Evil are so highly regarded, but this map still is solidified as one of the best maps within Black Ops 3. The pressure was on with the final DLC map, and when it came to the build-up and release of the map, Treyarch did not disappoint. The marketing was out of this world, first starting with a dedicated trailer to Dr. Monty that gave us the reveal of the map's name, Revelations. This was then followed up by a Revelation sneak peek trailer showcasing multiple areas of the map, with the wording "Every story has a beginning." We were shown the trenches of Origins, the staircase of Nakta and Toten, the signs from Mob of the Dead, the teleporter from Kino de Toten, the MPD room from Der Eisendrache, the stairs of Shangri-La, and then the final frame of the trailer showcasing our characters staring off into an amazing moon. Treyarch went as far to get the actor for Dr. Monty to record unique voice lines to send to specific content creators such as myself, and it was just amazing.
I don't mean to be harsh, Johnny boy, but I've got to be straight with you. The only thing getting exterminated is your dimension, if you don't set things right.
Between this, the gameplay reveal trailer, and then the release of the map, there was weeks and weeks of speculation built upon this incredible marketing that Treyarch could set forth. The map was poised to be a mashup of all the classic Zombies maps that had come before it in one go. For longtime zombie fans, it was the ultimate nostalgia trip. Bear in mind that Zombies Chronicles didn't exist, nor did the idea of these maps being fully remastered exist. Going between all these sections of these older maps felt like a fever dream. Everyone was blown away by the visuals, the lighting, the color palette, the skybox, the scale of everything, with the massive Apothicon eating the Pack-a-Punch at the start of the game was jaw-dropping to see. Another thing that players loved was that so many wonder weapons were here in the mystery box within one map. Apothicon Servant was back, the Thunder Gun was here for the first time in Black Ops 3 Zombies, as well as the Lil Arnies and the DG4s. Retrospectively to the other maps in Black Ops 3 Zombies, this was a much simpler map in order to jump in, set up the Pack-a-Punch and play to your heart's content. But the map was by no means perfect, with the initial reception, and the biggest criticism of the map even to this day is that whilst it's cool seeing so many of these old maps, the nostalgia wore off quickly, with many realizing that only around 10% of the map being completely brand new. The Easter egg quest was one of the most epic moments in the Zombies community, with livestream viewer numbers hitting records that has never been seen again, with Noah having as much as 350,000 viewers at one point hunting this map's Easter egg. It took 9 days in total for the Revelations Easter egg to be completely solved, miraculously beating the length it took to solve the Shadows of Evil Easter egg. But it wasn't from the fact that the Easter egg steps themselves were difficult, but it was from the difficulty of how they were designed. To this day, some of the steps blow my mind that they were even discovered, with one of them involving shooting different bone pieces fragmented around all of the map's arena, being a prime example of how this Easter egg quest took so long to solve, but the Easter egg steps felt more frustrating than anything else. The quest did have some truly really epic moments, however, such as using the Kino de Toten teleporter to go to Samantha's bedroom in the house from Origins, as well as taking on not one, but 2 different boss fights. Spectacle felt grand. Everyone was on the edge of their seats to see how this story would conclude. How epic and grand would the boss fight be? Well, it seems that the map might have been a little bit too ambitious for Treyarch's own good, because the final boss fight was a reuse of the original boss fight from Shadows of Evil. No actual boss enemy that attacks you, but more just a simple quick time event, trap the Shadow Man within the summoning key and get to the finale. And what was intended to conclude an 8-year storyline instead became one of the most debated, emotional, and divisive moments within Zombies. The Zombies community was truly stunned, with a divide between those being emotional and those being confused. Many of us expected there to be an elaborate cinematic finale, but just like the DLC 4 ending that came before it, it was a polarizing one that asked more questions than answered. Whilst we can look at this ending a lot more fondly knowing how this adapts going into Black Ops 4, many were actually unhappy with this ending, with the idea that a second ending could exist within the game files and that there was another ending to the Easter egg to unlock it. The ending was executed in a purposeful way by Jason Blundell, where players didn't get the ending that they wanted, but they got the ending that he thought they needed, with the symbolism that the ending wasn't a happy one, nor was it a tragic one, but one that ended in a loop, continuing the cycle perpetually, and an ending that many believed was the end of the story for the Primus characters. Revelations did many things right and offered a great fun Zombies gameplay experience, but overall it isn't regarded as the best map in the game. It is down there along with Zetsubonishima as one of the weaker maps in the game. Many of us thought that was the end for Black Ops Zombies, but out of absolute nowhere, nearly a year after Revelations, Treyarch announced Zombies Chronicles. But this wasn't your typical announcement, because Treyarch went to JC Backfire's college dorm to announce it on a YouTube video. I can still remember the very day that this moment happened, and people were in disbelief that this was actually real, but it was, and it was such an exciting moment for the Zombies community, and it was just testament to just how tuned in Treyarch were in involving the Zombies community at every step. I can't tell you how much I miss moments like this. Revealing the surprise DLC 5 on JC Backfire's channel, and then inviting myself and all the other Zombies YouTubers to Treyarch to play it early, and then upload videos once a day showcasing these new remastered maps ahead of the DLC pack releasing, with some iconic moments such as this sort of supply drops and Black Ops 1 coming into the maps. And there we go. Oh god, no, you're not supposed to see that. You were not supposed to see that. Why did that just happen? And a whole new generation of Zombies players enjoying these classic maps, as well as the previous generation being able to enjoy them all over again. Fully remastered in full HD, it was just an incredible time to be a Zombies fan, and elevated what was already an incredible Zombies game into the stratosphere. We need to realize that the game had been out for nearly 2 years at this point. Activision has never updated an older Call of Duty game to take the limelight away from the current game. But the release of this DLC, as well as the entire DLC cycle for Black Ops 3, will go down as one of my fondest memories. And it makes me so happy that there is going to be quite a few of you watching this video I have been watching ever since that era, that got to experience it alongside myself for an incredible few years with this Zombies mode. How can we forget that Black Ops 3 Zombies also launched with Dead Ops Arcade 2, sequel to the incredible Dead Ops Arcade seen in Black Ops 1. Bigger and better than ever before. But that's Zombies out of the way, but there's some other modes in the game. One of the most debated and overlooked parts of Black Ops 3 is easily its campaign. And for good reason, because it divided players and critics more than any other Black Ops campaign ever. That's unless you're counting Black Ops 4, which didn't even have a campaign. The campaign is entirely playable in 4-player co-op, something that had never been seen before in the COD franchise. The initial reaction, and even still to this day, as one of general confusion and disappointment, as with the name of the game being Black Ops 3, the expectation is that the campaign is a sequel to Black Ops 2, involving important characters like David Mason, Raul Menendez, Sergeant Frank Woods, and even Alex Mason. A brief summary of the campaign story is that you play as a cybernetic genetically enhanced soldier who is reliving the memories of someone who is dying and reliving their life. The campaign's storyline is intentionally confusing, with an extreme level of depth under the surface, but is presented in such an unfortunate way that the execution of some of the more complicated story beats really lets this campaign down. The campaign culminates in the revelation that you've actually been dead since the very first mission, and everything else has occurred within the corrupted consciousness of another soldier, being your teammate Taylor. As the years have gone on, we've learned a lot more about the behind-the-scenes development of this campaign, and whilst this didn't catch the landing that many of us expected it to, it was ambitious and it was experimental, and to some people, even to this day, they would say that the campaign is misunderstood. And whilst the majority of the players at the time did not enjoy it, and to this day still don't, there is a little bit of a small cult following for this campaign due to the understanding over the years of just how complex the story was. And then how could we forget the secret unlockable after the campaign, which was Nightmares mode, a reskinning of the Black Ops 3 campaign, reusing the campaign missions, environments and assets, but replacing all human enemies with zombies. And it was for all intents and purposes a zombies campaign, but had brand new dialogue with a new voice-over narration and an emphasis of a supernatural horror vibe in contrast to the main's campaign's events. In a very unorthodox way, not seen since the original zombies mode in 2008, this mode launched without any marketing. So from that point of view, there was definitely a surprise factor that people really liked. However, when people started to delve into this, it was just a reuse of the same campaign assets. Gameplay wasn't any different to the original campaign's missions, and the storyline for this was even more confusing than the initial campaign story, which sounds almost impossible, but somehow Treyarch did that. Overall, the Black Ops 3 campaign is probably the least replayable Call of Duty campaign in history, especially with regards to the Black Ops series, and the feedback was definitely noted going into the future Black Ops campaign. Let's now talk about Black Ops 3 multiplayer, and to me, hands down, this is still one of the best modern multiplayer experiences that Call of Duty has ever had. And as impossible as the stakes were coming off the back of Black Ops 2, Treyarch were just able to deliver. Despite the drastic changes when it came to the specialists, the unique specialist weapons, the slightly futuristic movement and era, the game delivered on some incredible gameplay, an amazing array of maps and weapons, and that continued on throughout the DLC season with some incredibly colorful, vibrant, beautiful maps, and graphically the multiplayer still holds up as one of the best visual experiences even by 2025 standards. The only downsides that I can give about Black Ops 3 multiplayer was the fact that new DLC weapons were only available via supply drops, which caused a lot of people to spend a lot of real life money to attain these weapons. It's a system that got a lot of heat over the years, to which Activision has completely removed. Nowadays, by comparison with weapons in the season pass, people actually are warming to the idea of this system returning. Black Ops 3 also had a very successful esports year, although I don't think Treyarch managed to hit the mark at all when it came to delivering anything close to the quality of the league play mode that Black Ops 2's multiplayer got. Multiplayer is still incredibly fun to play 10 years later, and the game has aged incredibly well, where you could jump on and still have an amazing experience. Although if you're playing on console, then you probably won't get the same experience as you did 10 years ago. So unfortunately, the game is now riddled with hackers and modders, and especially when it comes to playing the PC version of Black Ops 3, unfortunately has been ruined over the years. But thankfully, we have a lot of community workarounds to help make and preserve the PC version of Black Ops 3 to be a fantastic experience. And how can we talk about Black Ops 3 PC without talking the fact that we have custom mod tools and the Steam Workshop for custom zombies maps? The fact that nearly 9 years on from the mod tools releasing, we're still getting a frequent flow of incredible custom zombies maps with experiences that have been just as good, if not better, than Treyarch's own. It's a testament to the game engine itself that maps and modes created with the mod tools can still look just as good as Call of Duty releases in 2025 and beyond. It really shows that the foundations that Treyarch laid down with Black Ops 3 as a framework, testament to how well utilized they were with that 3-year development cycle. This game's engine was even used for games like Black Ops Cold War in 2020 2020, which is absolutely insane. It is without doubt one of the greatest Call of Duty games of all time, has aged incredibly well, and even to this day is still populated on console and PC with regular sales of season passes, DLCs, and the Zombies Chronicles edition of the game. It will truly be the Call of Duty game that will never ever die, and for a lot of Zombies players is still the gold standard that Treyarch still haven't reached all the way 10 years later. Really hope you guys enjoyed this mammoth retrospective on Black Ops 3. If you did, a like rating on your way out would be very much appreciated, and I'd love to know your favorite memory from Black Ops 3 in the comments down below. If you want to continue this nostalgia trip and take a look at Black Ops 2 now that it is 13 years old, then why not click this video to look at a Black Ops 2 retrospective that will be on your screen right now.